Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. Yesterday, our local daytime TV was taken up with live coverage of the shooting in the subway in Brooklyn. Um, so that was all that coverage. The shooting by which, or for which the shooter is still at large, which is pretty shameful. Apparently, a lot of the security cameras in the MTA and the subway stations just weren't operating that day. Um, they don't really operate at all in a lot of stations. Um, you know, I'll let you figure out which stations are the least maintained and monitored. Um, but so I have nothing to talk about from yesterday, except for the fact that if they weren't talking about the fact that there's enough evidence to refer criminal indictment for the president of the United States to the Department of Justice, then they did it wrong. Because if that's not a topic of discussion every fucking day until it happens, I don't know what the fuck we're doing in this country. The conservative media will run with Hunter Biden's fucking laptop every goddamn day of the week. And we've got a criminal former president for whom we have evidence that he committed felonies and we're just sitting on it. We should be talking about that every fucking day. But today we talked about guns, and it's a never ending ridiculous conversation because it always goes in the same circle. No one should have an AR-15. Well, some guns are misrepresented. They look, you know what we're saying. No one needs an assault rifle or a rapid fire machine gun kind of. We we might not have the right specific technology or terminology, but you know what we mean. And it's been, everybody goes over and over and over again about the whole thing. I don't know how we're going to get any gun legislation passed. The NRA should, I thought they went bankrupt. What happened to that whole deal? And we'll never get rid of guns. So the whole idea we're going to take away your guns, we know that that's not going to happen. But why don't they just introduce legislation that it's like a car? A gun is like a car. You have to register the car. You have to be licensed, a licensed user before you can use one or drive one or own one. You have to have insurance on it. Like, if you treat it like a vehicle, then you'd have all of the kinds of protections that we want, except for the fact, people will always find a way around it. There's black market cars too. There will be black market guns. You will never get them all. I get it. But if you want, the whole Second Amendment crowd wants to keep their guns and keep guns in the hands of good guys, then you've got nothing to worry about making sure that you can properly handle the weapon that you're buying or using, right? Because there's different kind of training for different kind of guns, that you have a registration for it, that you have to renew, and that you have insurance for it. The insurance companies would love that. They should lobby for that. So the rest of the conversation, it's like it's just repetitive. We all go through it over and over again. So I don't know what kind of answer is ever going to come out of that. But no one really ever puts up a bill to try to legislate it. I guess I know that they know that it's going to fail, but wouldn't you actually want to put those votes on record? And the other big topic today was Gerard Carmichael as the guest. And I have to say, until he's hosted Saturday Night Live and the special came out on the same weekend, I didn't know who he was. I when I looked it up and realized he had a television program for a few years called The Carmichael Show, I was like, oh, I do remember that. I never watched it, but I do remember that existed. And he was one of the few performers on Saturday Night Live who actually performed the skits, and didn't look like a deer in the headlights reading the cue cards for the first time, which even some of the cast members do. He was delightful as a sort of sketch comedian, and his special Rough Annual on HBO and HBO Max is absolutely wonderful. Sort of in the same vein of Hannah Gatsby's Nanette. I guess if you're queer and you put a title, just a name for the, for your HBO special or your comedy special, it does really well, like a person's name. But it's very sweet and funny and powerful and raw, and you can see that there's so many things that he's still working through, and it's I think really incredibly brave to do that on stage in front of cameras and people. So yay to Gerard Carmichael. I think when he said on Saturday Night Live that he was the least famous host in SNL history, and although that may have been true at the time that he said it, I think his performance and that special are going to change that statistic very quickly for him. And I hope his mom pulls her shit together, because it's just I don't understand how a person could take their love away from their child over something like that. I guess I can, because I could certainly see it if somebody was a hardcore Trumper. That would be a hard line for me. But I've only had to deal with that in extended family, not close family. Anyway, good times, guns and gays. It's a Wednesday.